Greasy Palace, high above 3773 East Broadway. This is a live edition of the Jake Feinberg Show, comedy on Power Talk, streaming worldwide. Thank you so much for making us part of your day today. And without further ado, it is always good to heal with a dear friend of the program, somebody who, it's hard because, let's face it, I mean, just from my own point of reference and privileged white middle class lifestyle, I would have been on the road, seeing all my friends and cooking the groove and having spiritual releases and discharges from my brain and dancing and seeing family and eating good food and just having fun and trying to send love. But none of that's really happening. And so I'm just become very humble and grateful to be surrounded by my two daughters, and also to be in some kind. And I've obviously done a couple hundred interviews as well. But one thing that's been happening to me over the last week is that I don't want to get too weird here, but it's already gotten really weird today. Is just I found these time capsules in music, and one of them is with the late, great Neil Casal, Circles Around the Sun, at a show from the Terragram Ballroom that I was at in November of 2018. And, it doesn't matter what is going on every day for me. I recorded the show on videotape, and I was so out of my mind that I can go back and go into this portal and relive it and see how quickly they left their thinking mind and started to burn. And it's the best way to connect with spirits who have left this planet. A lot of people don't want to necessarily lean into pain, but my guest is somebody who doesn't shy away from that. I mean, we're all working on being vulnerable to receiving love, but part of receiving love is also acknowledging pain and leaning into it. So what an honor. Lauren Barth, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, especially in this, very sensitive time.
I know it sounds like, I'm a patron, I'm a journalist, but essentially I'm a patron of the arts and music. And, I did this interview with Zephaniah O'Hara this week, and he was talking about this time capsule mentality, and it crystallized for me that I don't listen to a ton of music. I tend to perseverate on certain things, and I lock into things I may not have been aware of before. And then, I wanted to ask you about this time. I mean, do you not in a bad way, but do you go back and heal yourself through music that you did before? Do you create new stuff? And do you recognize that it's okay if you don't feel inspired at this time?
Yeah. In February, right before, or the last week of February, right before we kind of had to go into shutdown mode. And so I had sort of exhausted my big creative push for the year. It's I'll write and I'll play and I will create music with other people, but as far as me doing something very deeply personal, I did it already,
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm kind of
really,
yeah, the record's done. And for me, when I make a record, it takes a while for me to regain energy in that particular way. So I've been doing personally a lot of silence, a lot of listening to jazz and ambient music, and going back and listening to records that I connected with when I was a kid, just the most grounding stuff possible. I do listen to new things too, and kind of keep out a radar for new music, but I'm just very sensitive. My whole energetic body is super, super sensitive. So, I need to just keep it on a very specific frequency, and that is stuff that calms me or grounds me,
No, it's a little bit different. So this album was finished in February, but you spent a lot of last year working on it, I assume. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, are you like a one album a year kind of gal? I mean, I'm ready to put out a third book in a year. You know, like I feel like you could.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand.
I wish I could be. I wish I could be, but for me personally, it just I don't have the resources to be pumping out albums. I wish I could.
Oh, I
I
dig. No,
really do.
I mean, but so in truth, how would you artistically have spent, or in your mind's eye, how would you have spent the rest of the year? Sort of picking and choosing spots to tour, taking small tours, like how would you have
If this year was normal,
exactly?
yeah, I think I would have been playing a lot and just working more definitively on releasing this record instead of what I'm doing now, which is kind of just like, I don't know, intuitively sort of feeling my way in the dark, you know? Because it's like all the pressure got taken off, which is kind of a huge blessing. Like all of a sudden I'm realizing that like I don't need to rush this for anyone. If I don't have the money, if I don't have the resources, I don't have the energy, I can just kind of like sit on it for a minute until I have the right support system. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm slowly, you know, it just got mastered. It's like the baby is ready. So I'm slowly like sending it to people and, you know, just like taking my time and being methodical and being,
How
you
interesting.
know,
I'm really
organic
curious,
about
though.
it.
I mean, does it have? I mean, because people say like the before times, right? Or you hear these different terms for like
Right,
pre-COVID, right? And
right.
do you can you even? I mean, for sometimes I mean, we talked before since COVID began, but I mean,
Yeah.
I look back at like certain things. I'm like, I cannot even believe that was a different time. And I mean, can you honestly say that the concepts that are on the album and the meanings are still relevant today, or do you feel kind of detached from?
No, for me, yeah, this one, God, this is such a,
Why is it you why do you consider it a your I mean every album's your baby, but I mean what's essentially, is this a concept album in your, I mean there are no concept, it's so hard to make them now, so I'm just curious about what the existential
right.
gist of this
It's
is.
part in a journey, you know. It's like I've envisioned like the first three records that I released being kind of like this little triptych of a piece of my life, and this is kind of just like the transition, you know. It's the working it out, accepting yourself, accepting your flaws, dealing with shit, you know. Like it's a surrender record for sure. It's a little conceptual, but not blatantly, you know. You'll hear it.
And well, I had this, I've been just sort of intertwining with all these different spirits and you know, I did my fifth interview with Jim Keltner, who I hope one day I can get together with you and he could play.
I've met him.
Yeah, but I mean to play with him though.
Oh yeah, duh. That
Yeah,
would be great.
because and I just want to read this because we had this really. I mean, he was. You know, in the '70s, cocaine was pouring into the country, and it was like really pure, and everybody was doing it. Lawyers, doctors. I mean, I think your folks are pretty
Good
hip,
stuff.
yeah, right? You know, but it also took its toll. And I mean, Jim met his wife Cynthia when he was 15, and he was breaking out in hives and playing baseball and she really kind of guided him. His mom was also very important. But anyway, they were high school sweethearts. And then in the 70s, Jim was making a lot of money, very successful in the studios, but it was also a very debaucherous time, and he was really deep into alcohol and drugs. Could not be somebody who was a stable drug addict or alcoholic, which is probably impossible to be like. And his
Right.
So his wife was like being told by people that were close to her, friends of the family, saying, I'm sure he's a good guy, but he's going to take the family and the kids down the wrong path. He's really in like a horrible, he's not in a good place. And so at some point she said, a woman came to her and a friend of hers and said, you need to not just pray in the sense of like whatever that word means. You need to pray for something very specific if you want to save this. And so for the first time she did that, and then 2 days later the phone rings and it's Bob Dylan. And Bob said to Jim, I'm working on this new album. I got some rough mixes of it. I want you to come down here and think about going on tour with me. And this is not the first time that they went on tour, but when he walked into this was around 1979, and he walked in, secretary said, Bob just wants you to listen to the album alone in this room. And he put on the album Saved, or she put on the album Saved, and every song, Keltner was bawling like a baby. And so luckily there was some Kleenex in there, and then he, and the point is that it was like this, like you said, you're guiding yourself in the dark, this is faith. I mean, this is what true faith is, and what Keltner said to me in the interview. Aside from that, he said, it's tragic that some of these younger kids, Lauren Barth included, that are really amazingly talented and have made some records that they're really proud of, instead of being able to go out and tour behind them, they can't even go and play the local club somewhere and play those songs to people. There's no such thing as an audience right now, and that's the part that scares me the most. And I think that's, nobody has the crystal ball, but I mean, are you trying to like sit in the unknown and enjoy it? I know it's not a pleasant feeling for people like us who are sensitive and also like to have some semblance of control, but are you trying to learn to enjoy it a little bit?
Yes. I'm trying to like embrace the silence and the void that I've been kind of, like as independent artists, like we're running around all day. We're filling our time and our space and our energy with little tasks and little adventures that we have to go on, and like having like just this illusion of the entertainment industry sort of shattered for me. It's like it's like I've been marching through this like gnarly jungle, like trying to get to the temple at the end or whatever, and it's gone. It doesn't exist,
right. Well,
and
no,
I just
yeah,
realized,
exactly.
holy shit, I'm just going. And so I'm just learning to just kind of sit still in it and laugh at it and say, holy shit, like all I have to do now is decide if I want to keep doing this, and it's for me. And that's why this new record is going to be so special for me, because I didn't make it for consumers. I didn't make it for how marketable it can be. I didn't make it for, can we sync this? Can I sell this? Will this be on the radio? Like, fuck that. I just literally made it for me and what kind of record I would want to listen to. It's just a pure expression of who I am as an artist, which is like, really exciting. And it's really kind of like just a huge joke, a fun joke though, that like, it doesn't matter what happens to it once it's out in the world. I already had, like, the healing already happened for me. I made it,
Oh, yeah. No, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just so beautiful. Talking to Lauren Barth here, she's having a very weird day. Why are you having a weird day, by the way?
I don't know if I'm ready to go.
Okay, no, you know what? Listen, you don't have to go there.
I will say, without getting into details of my personal journey, that I think a lot of people right now we're just fed up. I mean, for the same reason I just explained about music, like the illusions of the patriarchy and our capitalist society are like being exposed, and we're fucking sick of it, So like all the programming that I've received my whole life, I'm just starting to realize, like, I don't need to do this. I don't have to live like this. I don't have to impress anyone. All that I have to do is tap into who I really am and like remove all of the like, pressures of the paradigm that are not serving me anymore. And like that's kind of what's going on today. I'm just like, holy shit, I'm having a huge growing pain and I
Yeah,
feel like I can't
that was me
move.
yesterday. Did you see what Michelle Obama said?
No.
She has a podcast now, and she says that she's definite, and she was very articulate about it. And I can only imagine being the spouse of the first black president. I really can't even imagine that. But she just was like, she's suffering from depression right now because of
Wow.
exactly what you just said. So, and there's, Lauren, I asked you this because you weren't raised you were raised with a lot of love. We, as sentient beings, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves about performance, and we
Yeah.
beat ourselves up. It's not like we were given like a horrible deck of cards to play. It's just sometimes we are our own worst enemy. And, how have you learned to, I guess that's the point. Everyone has the divine feminine and the divine masculine within each of us. And I just wanted you to talk to cats, not that this is your specialty or anything, but because you're fed up, and a lot of people are fed up and exhausted and tired and depressed and whatever the word is. What are the qualities of the divine masculine that need to come to the forefront in men in order for women to trust them again?
Ooh, yeah.
You dig that, right?
I do, and that's so deep and so it just goes so deep. I mean, I think it's going to be really hard, and that's why I'm kind of hinting at these ideas of like programming, because like I'm not out here saying like, all you men suck and
Exactly,
you're like,
exactly.
it's like we've all been raised the way that we were, and it's not even like raising in our lifetime. It's like ancestral, and it's hereditary, and it's within subcultures. Like we just come up with programming pre-received. So I mean, I think it's just all of our job, men included, women, men, women, all of us, to every day consciously and, intentionally reprogram ourselves, you know? And that's kind of what we've had the time to do since we've been shut down, is to say, I'm having this thought, I'm having this feeling, like, why? Where is it coming from? Like, what is the trauma, whether it's a big or a micro trauma that is like causing me to have these reactions, and just really look at it and like not exclude yourself from like this big, massive civil rights movement that we're in, that we're all involved in.
What qualities do you like? Because it's this patriarchal. It's just so. Everything is. Let's see. How should I say this? I mean, we are the titular head of the country is obviously, mentally ill and also old,
Yeah.
and a man, and like,
Yeah.
willing to like, I don't know. A lot of people didn't pick up on the fact he said Yosemite, but he said Yosemite, and so like he takes these like, he's just like such a like. I've hung with people like that. I grew up around it. Even Jewish friends of mine would laugh about. I mean, it's part of the conditioning that we were raised with, and I just feel like. Do you believe that our generation, and especially millennials, are willing to pay the I mean, a lot of white cats, and I'm not saying Black Lives Matter. I'm just saying a lot of white cats died in the first civil rights movement, and I think one of the reasons it's exhausting for us is because I don't think that dialogue or conversation, not musical conversation, but just, I don't think language is going to really help with progress. And I wonder if you think that our generation, who quite frankly, aside from the 1% of the military that went and sacrificed in the wars, I don't think we've really ever really faced anything like this. And I wonder if you,
Yeah.
as it relates to the civil rights, not the pandemic, do you believe that younger cats, our generation included, are willing to pay the ultimate price, for, meaning death, to stand up for what's right, to stand up for equal rights?
Well, some of them are. Some of us are right now, Some people are like in the streets, really doing that kind of work. And I don't know. I don't know if the generation as a collective is, but I'm hoping that enough of us are that we can kind of like do some serious like energy work on the rest of the crew,
I mean, like, so your major superpower is on the bandstand, which has been taken away from you. So, can you
Right.
talk about being in the silence and how you ultimately try to leave your thinking mind so you can raise the frequencies of the overall universal vibration? At this point, you can't do it the way you would normally do it. So how
Right.
can you take? I mean, it's very hard for me to get into a sedentary, meditative space, but the silence is intoxicating if you can get into a place of peace. And I just wonder if you could talk about how you have cultivated that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird not being able to perform, but also I have just gotten to a place of gratitude where I'm sort of able to say thank you to the universe for this break. That I needed a break maybe, and everything in moderation. And it's not like I was touring constantly or playing every night, but it is a lot of energy, and it is still kind of like an old paradigm thing that we were trapped in, with like artists playing at these clubs and getting barely any money, and people and giving our gift in the only way we know how to. So now it's kind of like giving me this chance to like just reprogram and redefine, restructure how I want to be sharing what I consider to be a gift. And I who's to say that the one person's gift is more valuable than another's, but it's all I have. It's what I have to
Absolutely,
offer.
yes. That's why you're on the program.
It's what I have to offer. So I've been doing a lot of, trying to feel into and drop into what makes me feel strong, and with live music removed from the equation, what makes me feel strong is being in nature. I think we've talked about this, and being with family and with, my chosen family, my chosen loved ones. And I got a dog recently, so, it's like giving my service to another being, like giving my service to myself. I mean, it short of like being a soldier, a foot soldier in this fight, I think that's the best we can do, is that everyone do that, really tune into what you need, how you can be in your strength. So then we're not acting out of desperation, we're not acting out of selfishness, then we're just like creating a more loving and awake culture. And it's a long way to go. I think it's a really long way to go.
No, I mean it is. I mean, because I was in the forest for 10 years ago, and I never thought there'd be an ashram or a shrine, or I think you said temple somewhere. I just have been chopping my way out of the woods with a machete, just trying to enjoy the forbidden fruit. So when this sort of extended pause came in, and again, I still can go to the station and access my multidimensional self and be able to have a dialogue with people like Lauren Barth. But I mean, why? Please tell me about in your mind, and I'm asking, you're not a savior, you're not a prophet, you're just who you are. But like you said, it's not, when we talk about the patriarchal state, and that revolves around a lot of social conditioning, and it involves a lot of dogma from monotheistic religions. So I want you to talk to men specifically about the divine masculine qualities that can expedite this push for equal rights. That may take years, but because there's the knee-jerk reaction to say, "Oh, you hate all." I think men are like, "Oh, women hate." When they hear stuff like that, they say, "Oh, I'm not like that," and then it becomes like this huge blanket statement. But I really believe that there are these qualities within men, strong men, that need to come to, that they're not either that they're ashamed of. They've been told it's not manly to be like that.
Right.
I just want you to riff on what are those qualities that need, in your mind, that need to come to the forefront in order for a more shared, equitable society.
Yeah, I personally would love to see men caring for themselves more. I think it all starts with the individual, and like all we have power over right now is ourself and our little community that, however big or small it is. So it all starts with you, and I think if more men who I know personally and who I observe would take the time that I think women are just a little bit more in tune with to, take a bath, take a nap, like do some yoga, get therapy of whatever kind you need, like ask those questions, like, why am I having this thought? Like, how could I better serve myself and the people I love by like removing this programming from myself, instead of just kind of barreling through. And I feel like that's how we get where we've gotten with, people running our country and maybe running, more than that, is that people are just barreling through, and like men use their privilege because, no judgment, like I would too, and I do use the privilege that I have. But if everyone could just stop and analyze how you are moving through the world on a daily basis and how you can be more caring to yourself and to others, more gentle, more low impact, like just awareness. I mean, it always comes back to that for me. It's just like we need to have more awareness. We are just like barely functioning society that is like
barely
just got the the cloth over our eyes, and we're choosing to keep doing that. And I mean, however little the movement is, I think on the daily basis we need to be, just choosing a more intentional lifestyle.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Do you think that the cats that you're talking about who barrel through are conscious that that what they're doing is not either, I don't know, kind, or it's exploitive? Are they aware of it? I mean, are we going to let them off the hook and say that they've been conditioned to just take advantage of the power they have, and therefore it's excused? Or is this more of like a dawn of a new day where there has to be a revolution? I feel like there's a lot of, and the election's going to be predicated on it too. There's just a lot of people that they say, I don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want to talk about how they really feel. They don't. Right. So exactly. I mean, like it's called doing the right thing, which is hard to do. And I just wonder if you think it's a subconscious thing with guys, or if it's conscious. Because if it's conscious, then it's going to be a lot longer than either of us even know it's going to be.
Yeah, I think depending on the severity of like, the issues we're talking about, I think it is conscious when you've got, people in power abusing their rights. But I do think that like, the general like overall cloud of misogyny that we're living in, and particularly in the entertainment industry, that is embedded, and a lot of people maybe are either not aware of it or they're aware of it, but they're like, I'm just going to get what I can get and get out, and I think that, like, as far as, abusers and, people who are blatantly taking advantage of people, particularly, I mean, a lot of people are getting called out in the entertainment industry, and, like, I've heard a lot of, oh, well, that was 10 years ago, like, can't we just let it go? And it's like, no, you need to, like, pay for what you did.
Oh, man, I'm telling
It
you.
doesn't matter how many years ago it was, you're getting called the fuck out. So I support it, and I do think there is a trial to be had if you've hurt people. But also I believe in healing the source of the sickness, and I do think there's a lot of mental illness involved in all of this too, and which comes back to something we've talked about before, it's like you can't blame people who are sick for what they do, but you can hold people accountable individually and communally. We need to help each other.
You told me one of these times, it was really funny, you said, I'm waiting for that person in the music biz to come and approach me and offer me. I've never been approached. I've never been, offered a, whatever that is. But would you say that you've actually been aware of the misogyny and that you weren't willing to deal with that BS, and that's one reason you necessarily haven't, that you've always been an independent musician, you've been wary of that misogyny, or in fact you've actually had direct experience with that?
Yes, I have, and I don't feel the need personally to, like, be involved in call out culture or, like, ruining anyone's careers.
No, I think it's
stuff.
really, really important to talk. It's not about. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the things people have said to me in the past are pretty atrocious, and I'm just not willing to compromise my comfort, or my art, or my anything, and I have compromised before, and I don't regret it, but I see how it has caused micro trauma in my life and made me afraid of things and made me shut off in certain ways. So I have chosen to remain more independent and not, push down any corridors that I felt discomfort upon entering. I've just been very stubborn about that, and I don't know. I don't know if it's hurt my career or if I just that's
it hasn't hurt your
an excuse that I'm making. I don't fucking know.
No, it's okay, because again, you're oscillating, as we all are, between what society says is success and career, whatever those words mean, versus what is actually giving you peace. I mean, can you say that within the community that you talk about, raising consciousness, I mean, me and you could, just have a psychological breakdowns like we do all the time, and we're kind of just, having a great back and forth conversation. But do you think it's imperative about people like you who are healers, and also you're also in touch with your limitations and just being kind of a humble person? Do you feel like it's your responsibility to be within a community of people that don't look at the world the way you do, even if they are a creative musician? I mean, otherwise it just seems like, it's not. I know you're not preaching, but it's like how you affect change if, who would not want to hang out with all these beautiful cats, right? I mean, I feel the same way sometimes. Where, although I had Ted Nugent on the program a few years ago, and it was the most incredible interview because, people can say what they want about, and he's an example of this, major patriarchal society, at least coming out with his beliefs. But by the end of an hour and 40 minutes, I had softened him up so much. He was talking about parents calling, saying, my son is is dying of cancer. His last wish is to go hunting with you. And so setting aside the whole animal rights thing, which is another issue, the idea there is like he's literally in the middle of a Texas summer describing to me how he's pushing this cancer, this poor child with cancer up a hill so that they can go hunting together. I mean, you couldn't, I guess Christian Das said it to me too. George W. Bush walked in, and as incompetent as he was, and he got bullied into that war, when he walked into this elementary school classroom to meet with the wives of the first soldiers who were slayed in Iraq, it was on CNN, and W was walking down the hallway all, proud, and he walks into the room and he just starts bawling like a baby, and at that point Christian Das said, I couldn't hate him anymore. I could not hate him anymore when I saw, and I feel the same. And so I'm just trying to say, do you believe that for people that you see or that you have some connection with that are just like you said, barreling through, even if you don't necessarily feel like they're totally aligned with you on spiritual, philosophical level, do you feel like you still need to help them, because otherwise it's just like preaching to the choir?
I mean, yeah, I guess at some point, yes. But at this point right now, I need to take care of myself, so I've done a lot of disconnecting from people and from media and from definitely, news and most mainstream entertainment, because I'm just I'm too sensitive, and you got to choose where you put your energy. So when I'm feeling really strong, I could probably debate beliefs with someone who has very different set of beliefs than I do, and feel okay. But right now it's just oh my God, I need this energy for myself. I can barely get off the couch, and I know a lot of people are feeling that way, and it's this is all of our fight for sure, but also you can't provide your service to a community if you're weak. So sometimes that means shutting off and going to the woods for a week and not looking at your phone. And then you can come back with more grounding and compassion and awareness and change people's outlook on things, not because you changed their mind, but because you loved them.
That's what I'm talking about. You use the word debate. I don't even want to go. That's not what it is. This is about affecting hearts and minds. And I feel, you have the ability, again, we're talking in the abstract because, that's your superpower is affecting hearts and minds on the bandstand, singing ballads or, just playing. And self-preservation is key. I'm also asking the question because, I'm still grappling with it as myself, is that, you don't, you want people to think objectively or independently. And, people that, maybe they don't even vote the way you would vote politically, but at least you could have not even a debate. It would just be a conversation to say, oh yeah, we're both human beings and we're both Americans, and everybody's allowed to feel that way, but it also should be based on doing the right thing and being kind, anyway, we have a game on this program called Name That Voice. This is I think one of your compadres, pretty close, so take a listen to it. We'll come back.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I appreciate how you've set the question up and your experience on the topic and the chance to talk to everyone worldwide about it. I would love to hear more people's thoughts if they'd like to write later, or we could follow up after the.
Of course, no, this is just set one. This is just set one, Farmer Dave. Go ahead, riff any way you want.
All right. Well, I think the main thing that I loved is that you wouldn't need to go to a school for music. One other thing I would add, yes, you can get your thing started, get it out there, find the people, And over time, if you're sincere, you learn and you grow. And you may suck technically. And then again, you may have a colleague who is trained who can help your ideas get orchestrated. You know, some of our favorite bands, like a young Neil Young with Jack Nietzsche, who came out with all those chops and did all the Phil Spector, and he did Expecting to Fly, where you need that synthesis, man. But the thing is, but the great joy of the message I'm getting from you that I love, not only can you get your thing started, but the only thing you have to do to go to school, man, you pick up a record that blows your mind, or these days you don't have to physically hold it, but that's your education. When you hear somebody doing it, and, you know, let's say even if it was something like John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, or, you know, that blew everybody's mind, it's very of the people, because the best sounds usually win out. There may be machines, there may be people teaching something that is a Xerox copy of a very vital event, and those may seem like a place where creativity goes to die. I could follow that. But I think ultimately, like, I kind of hope that the positive side of it is that the age of the cowboy, man, even though I could tell you I'm thriving and I love all these music projects, it can be tough. Musicians who do very well can still find themselves up a pretty narrow creek at different points. And then we have things like music cares that the Grammy Foundation does to help musicians physically. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm always open to more facilities, more education, people who can get the chops. But if they do come out seeming a little wet behind the ears, and maybe they're celebrating riffology, or it's this record, and then they're like, man, this guy's really doing it. And you're like, well, sounds like he studied this really well, but where's it going to blow my mind? Something else will. And that's actually us acting, you know, as free-thinking beings, but nature acting through us, man. Something wild has to happen. You can't, you know, like, you can't make everything model and uniform. I think it would be a human error.
Lord Barth, that name was given away.
Yeah, but I didn't need it. That's my boy, FD.
You know, can you talk about how you? I feel so fortunate to. I did that interview with. That was my first interview with him from 2018, and I feel so fortunate to know Farmer. You know, and I don't know him that well, but we know each other enough to know that we're both from the Intergalactic, and I just wanted to know how you connected with Farmer Dave.
Oh, well, let's see. All through Neil, kind of like, not indirectly through Neil, you know. I met Farmer Dave because he was living in this little place in Venice where I had a show on my birthday, 2013, I want to say, like when I first moved to LA, and Ben Knight showed up.
Oh my God, dude, he is just everything is universal. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and so I'd met Ben one time. We met.
Just to be clear, I just want to be clear about something, because I was just, again, we had. I'm sure you're aware of it. Those Hermanos Cosmicos.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, I was stunned to learn from a friend of mine who is like a CRB freak, which I'm not. He said that Benji Knight was like just a surfing cat that Neely got real tight with. He wasn't really even assimilated with music. I mean, he's a great musician, but is that true?
He's just a brother.
I freaking love this stuff. All right, so anyway,
it's so good. It's so good.
So amazingly, he's a great player.
Oh, he's just the greatest. So he and I had met once at Terrapin Crossroads through Neil. Like, we were both at a show. I was living up there, and we had a total, just one of those great moments, you know, where you whip around the corner and there's someone, and I'm pretty sure he was just like, you, and I was like, hi, and we were like, I know you now.
I've always known. I knew you before in some other life. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, hi, so glad we are reunited.
Reunited, knighted. It's beautiful.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And yeah, it was just such a special friendship from the beginning. And he showed up at my birthday show with some friends who have become really close buddies of mine as well. And we, after the show, they were like, "Why don't you guys come back to our place? It's in Venice, you know?" And I was like, "Okay." Like, I just moved to LA, you know, it was my birthday, and I had a few buddies with me from the East Side, and we went over to their place, and they're like, "Oh, this is our friend Dave. He lives in the back house." And it
Oh
was
my!
just,
Are you kidding me? Just a.
it was just on. It was just on from
Man.
there, you know. And I think we recognized right away a super like sibling connection. And you know, like, I mean, we were just talking earlier today. I was like, who do I contact when I'm feeling like some crazy universal shifts within myself, you know? And I feel so lucky to have people like that in my life who I can come at with some kind of, you know, shit that another a person living in another paradigm might be like, "Yo, you sound batshit crazy," and to have someone be like, "Oh yeah, I feel you," you know, like, you're gonna be okay, and this is good, and we're all in this together. And Dave is just an absolute saint.
Like, because the first time I saw you, and it was at the Standard. I mean, did you guys like?
Oh, with Dave?
Oh yeah, no, you were singing with I think Jesse maybe. It was a duo gig. It was a few years ago, but I mean, have you had a chance to play music with Farmer, like in a live setting?
We've done some stuff live.
I mean, I feel like a
together.
sound bath with like your vocal. I mean, it could be pretty intoxicating for me anyway.
Oh yeah, we've been in the works on some stuff for a long time, and you know, no spoilers, but we got some cool shit coming at you.
How hard is it to? I mean, is there a way to describe not having the ability to connect? I mean, you were just up. I saw you were doing some kind of fire glazing work up in Southern Oregon.
Oh yeah,
and
some glass melting.
Glass melting, and I mean, so I mean, obviously, like you're like being respectful of, you know, like social distance, but you're also engaging with humanity to a degree. But how hard has it been? I mean, because you know, that's it. The last time I talked to you, you were wearing out those bad sneakers in Palm Desert or something that you were down.
Yeah, I
right?
finally got myself new ones. I really did.
And then you
wearing them because I broke my toe.
Oh, I mean, the point is that we've been isolated for so long from the people that we love, and the music that heals us. And it sounds to me like you're actually doing, even though you're having a shift, we all are. But I mean, how hard is it? Is it hard, or for somebody who can be reclusive like yourself, is it actually okay not to have to socially engage with all the people you love? Where do you come down?
Well, honestly, I have been kind of settling into being okay with it, just because, like, I am so sensitive right now, and like the idea of having to do a lot of socializing like just sounds scary to me. And what I've been able to do is just like tune in with like a few people, you know, and that's mostly been my family and my very trusted old friends. You know, I spent about a month away from LA in the month of July, and you know, I had some comments from people about, you know, unsafe social practices, but like to be, you know, totally honest, like I only really was in close contact with, you know, 4 or 5 people, you know. And
I'd say this. I was the same way. My daughters and I lost my spirit brother, who was my older daughter's best friend. To this, he was the healthiest cat I knew, and so I know it's real and very unpredictable. Yeah, it's a heavy hit, and it's also like but I have been, actually it has not been, it's a little bit hard not to be able to go and heal with music, but I think it's just, I mean, I guess some people were probably saying, oh, Lauren, thanks for, you're dissing me. I haven't talked to you I haven't seen you in months. And you're like, you're like, I really don't, like, I mean, I had this really adorable couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, they're millennial cats, really cool people from Tucson. And they came over one night, this is like a month ago, and we're just having some beers and really connecting, having a ball. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to go up to Flagstaff or something to see family over the weekend, but we'll hit you up when we get back. And when Grant came back, he's like, hey man, I'm sick. So I'm like, holy crap. And so he, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, he reached out to me. He's like, hey man, I got a clean bill of health. I'm cool. Like, let's catch a hang. And I was like, did you have COVID? And he's like, oh yeah, no, I did. He's like, but the doctor said I'm symptom free, so I'm cool. I'm like, no, I don't think so. It's like, we really don't. The thing is that, I mean, there's any answers that any sensible businessman, psychologist, philosopher, athlete, whatever would ask about this disease, there are no answers for. So exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with limiting the scope of human interaction.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. I also strongly believe that we need to not give into any sort of fear propaganda surrounding this thing, and that we need each other. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't even have hypothesis on this virus as a physical thing, but what I do know is proved to be damaging is people being afraid of each other and people being afraid to connect and to hug each other and to share meals together and to play music. And it causes isolation, and it causes really deep mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health problems.
I agree.
So we need to keep seeing each other. I do not subscribe to the I've been in my house for 6 months and I haven't even gone out to get groceries. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's that, dude. But I gotta ask you a question, because a dear friend of mine, we play table tennis, and he's a musician, he's just a great cat. But I mean, I'm curious about where you come down on the I went over there the other night, and we played some table tennis, and then I was like, yo, how? I said, we can't even share a joint together, He's like, no. He's like, I roll do your own joint, And so I'm just curious, I mean, are you? Because I think that you're not sharing joints, right? I mean, you're smoking your own to your head.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually smoking anything. But
you're not smoking any pot. All right, yeah, that's great.
I would not be sharing.
Right.
But honestly, that might be bullshit. What I just said, when I'm camping in Northern California with 2 of my best friends of 20 years, and we're chilling. I'll share a joint.
Yeah, but, I'm also, I hit the one. I'm not paranoid. I mean, I've done that too, but then I question it. But yeah, I think it also depends on I don't know. I wanted to play this for you because if I could boil my show down to one poetic riff, what I'm trying to do and what I believe people like yourself are ordained to do. The music chose you, but really it's about inspiring other people to be themselves. And I just want to play you this one audio clip and just get your reflection on it. We'll come back.
Sure.
I think that no matter what happens world-wise with business or whatever, however you want to, say it or call it, what we are as people, what we are as humans, never really changes. I mean, we all have a heart. We all come from the spirit. I think what happens is over a period of time or through culture and cultural erosion and whatever you want to call it, our spirits and our souls get covered with a lot of complexity and a lot gets covered with a lot of trash. But what we are, in essence, is always there, because it has to be there, because that's what we are. So, you know, when something comes along, like something beautiful or something energetic or something that's inspiring, it rekindles that natural essence that's in all of us. And that's why you see different things happen at different times, you know, because people are made of love. People are made of hope. And if there's an opportunity for something that shows up that illustrates that, then it plugs that energy into people again. You know, so even though things look dark, or even though things look manipulated and whatever you want to call it right now, there's a lot of terminology, you know. What we are is infinite. What we are is always there.
Lord Barth, that was my interview with, that interview could have been done yesterday. I did that June of 2011 with an incredible studio musician, known mainly as a studio musician, but multi-reed player, Ernie Watts. And, I wanted to ask you, we all struggle with it, just sort of getting out of our own way, but also what he was talking about is this rekindling of natural essence, and you were gifted with an incredible natural essence that when you are in your element, so to speak, that's when your aura is strongest, and that pervades like still photographs or video. You don't have to necessarily be in your presence to recognize that. And I wanted you to talk about not so much like how, because it's kind of hard to explain, but for people out there that are really struggling, and maybe people that you love a lot but haven't necessarily connected with lately, or haven't seen, or even have grievance towards you because you haven't connected with them, how can those people keep connecting so that their natural essence consistently gets refreshed and that aura can come to the forefront and we can have hope for the future?
Wow. Man, I don't know. I don't know. Besides, my only advice for right now, and it is advice that could transcend to any time. We just happen to be in this crazy pandemic world. Is just like surrender, like we just need to surrender to ourselves and the universe, and that's the only way you can really feel into yourself and actually hear your body asking for help and saying, hey, I'm tired, I hurt, can't keep feeding me garbage, I need sleep, I need love, I need touch, I need something to care about. These are all things that we're only gonna be able to access if you just kind of let go of your strong desire that we have as humans to control the situation, because we actually got given this huge gift.
Right.
It's wrapped in shit paper. It's like a gift.
Yeah, it gets. But I mean, like that. Yeah, continue.
We have to surrender. We have to.
What does that look like for you? Because to me, when you surrender, not you, but I mean, when I surrender, that's when magic occurs, and that's what Ernie was talking about. It's like
exactly,
and that is so important.
Because, like he said, we are love. We are made of love. We are. You don't have.
What he said was we are all infinite. What we are is always there. And
yes,
that it's just how strong, and like Neely's still there. You understand? Like I still feel Neely I go home and watch these videos of Dan Horn, and Mark Levy and Neely and Adam, and I just keep looking up to the sky and thinking about my brother Adam, who I lost, and thinking about Neely. I'm telling you, it's as real as it gets. But you know, like you said, you can't really share it with anybody except because they'll be like, you're fucking batshit crazy, but you're not. I mean, it's the magic of it when you go on that. And I just want to make sure that you are still. Maybe you could even talk about some magic that has occurred since COVID for you. You know, where you reach that samadhi place when you surrender and magic occurs.
Yeah, I mean, the magic is the fact that I'm still maintaining my own reality. I'm still, you know, being able to get up in the morning and drink water and go on a walk and take care of my dog and, you know,
get some new shoes.
You know, that's the little victories are magic, because I do suffer from just debilitating anxiety and depression, and the fact that I have just given in and kind of let go and said, okay, you know what, I'm not going to try to control this situation. I'm not going to act out of a desperate place. I'm not going to act from a place of fear. I'm just going to kind of ride this wave. And I think, you know, we're just we're in the, I don't know if we're even in the eye of the storm, or if we're just in like kind of
dude, we're knee deep in the third inning of a really long rain delay.
We're in there, and I feel the calm coming on.
Really? The eye.
I think that's just, maybe that's just for me. Maybe that's just for creatives who are feeling like I need to surrender, or I'm not going to be able to tap into source anymore. Because that's my thing, is like maybe I'm also suffering from some kind of ADHD, which I think a lot of us are. Something is happening to me where I cannot turn off the noise in my head unless I like really work on it. That's why I'm listening to jazz, and that's why I'm listening to silence, and that's why I'm going on walks and I'm not calling anyone. I'm not listening to anything, you know? That's why, like, sometimes when I drive, I'm just in silence, because, like, I feel like with all the bombardment of our society by, like, mainstream media and news and fear and just all this, like, capitalist propaganda, basically.
Multinational corporation propaganda. That's the biggest thing.
Making us believe that we're incapable of transcending it, and like, yeah, we are in a form of institutionalized like slavery. I really believe that.
That's true.
Fed this bullshit dream so that we keep going, and we keep paying we keep paying with our bodies and our energy and our time so that other people can get filthy fucking rich. Like, I mean, we are doing that, you know? So the only way that I can like quiet that shit and like tap into the ability to like channel from whatever fucking source I get to tap into that tells you like, no, like, you are not a slave, you are free, you know? Like, I have to basically get to like a meditation to be able to do that. And that's the magic, is that every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm a free fucking person.
I've been on psychotropic medication since college. I'm 42 now. I know you're incredibly like pure in the sense, like, you know, you talked before about guys not taking care of themselves, or women are a little bit more sort of tuned into that, and I know you care a lot about like what you eat and exercise, and I just worry a little bit about you because I know what you're talking about and you say debilitating. It's so hard for someone who has debilitating anxiety to, even if you can find that sweet, beautiful jazz piece or silence that puts you in that state, that ruminating thoughts and the anxiety is always there. And I mean, maybe this is a naive question, but are you adverse to the idea of psychotropic medication? Because to me, I mean, it doesn't allow me to get. I'm not a slave. I'm not in bondage to my anxiety. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been.
You
In
just
the
don't like the way
past.
it makes you feel.
Yeah, well, it's a control issue for me. You know, like it's why I'm so clean with my diet and I don't like experiment with putting things in my body because it's a control thing for
Sure.
me. I don't like feeling like there's a foreign object inside of me, you know? So yeah, I've been adverse to it, but also I'm a little bit of a hypocrite about it because I support my people who need, you know, to be aided by pharmaceutical medication. I support it so much, you know. I've always been 100% into someone seeking help when they've reached the end, what feels like the end of their line, you know.
Right.
And for me, I just haven't gotten there yet.
I know, but
Every
that's the
time
point.
I'm just like,
That's all I want to say to you.
I
I
can
just
do
want to say to
this.
you. I know, but I don't. My point is that I know what you're saying. I just want you to really be very clear with yourself because you don't want to wait till the end. Sometimes things don't work out the way you're like, oh, I can handle it, and then the darkness gets too much. Because I just want to say.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I also feel like since I don't really let myself, I keep myself really, you know, as clear-headed as you could be, for better or for worse, you know. I'm like,
That's
face
true.
to face
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
true.
Like,
That's true.
I'm not gonna let myself get to a place, you know, like I know I'm so in tune that I know when I'm like, oi, I need help, you know.
Yeah, I just don't want you to be, you know, you just look at your day, you know better than anybody, just the idea of saying, how much of my day, what's the quality, how much of the quality of my life, how all the stuff we've just been talking about, affecting positive change, being creative, opening your heart, cleaning out the dark corners of your heart, not being debilitated by anxiety, having the energy to go and be a productive, humane citizen, you know, really step back and say, how much of the quality of my life is being affected by my anxiety? And I'm sure you've done this many times. I really, you know, from afar, you know, it's just something to, I just know I would be, I can feel it when I don't take it for a couple, and I'm not on a very high dose at all, but even for a couple of days when I don't take it, I don't ever get depressive, like, you know, can't get out of bed or, you know, pissing in Gatorade bottles and can't get out of bed and stuff. But it's like, it's a manic thing, and it's in my bloodstream. I will say, I mean, it's hooked into me, and I know you don't want to get hooked by anything, but just. Yeah, I mean, I think.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I mean, just keep an open
mind. I truly have an open mind about it, and I have thought about it for myself. But I'm still on this like really dedicated journey to treating the cause. You know, because I do feel my anxiety lift when I have these little breakthroughs. I felt it today.
Really?
You know,
wow.
I felt like shit, and I worked through some stuff, and I talked to a friend and mentor, and I got up and went for a walk, and I felt light as a feather, you know, because I know that there is a source to this shit, and there's a reason that I have the anxiety, and the anxiety is actually my body protecting me and saying like, no, this is too much, we have to hide. So if I can get in there, you know, I will risk like having those moments of needing to hide so I can keep digging and keep finding the source, which is these micro traumas and these past life traumas and this shit that I can't even imagine being able to access on my own, that like I just am gonna keep digging on, you know.
Lord Barth, it is always really an honor to connect with you, and I just my final thing is just because we are going through a tectonic shift, like you can feel it. These are the times to be most aware of your psyche and your constitution, because these are not normal times.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know,
I think everyone just remember to take care of each other and take care of yourself, and like we got this. It's gonna be fucking rough for a minute, but I think we got this.
Thank you for healing me, and let's do it again as soon as possible.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
Love always, Lauren.
All right.
Later.
Peace.
Bye. Healing all the way on the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll be back. Take it easy.